win them in conference when it really matters. Really proud of the way our guys are performing, the way they're buying in, and some of the things that they're doing individually. But I just the way this team has improved and grown over the course of the season, it just makes you proud of the guys and the effort that they're putting in.
And we'll be talking with one of your key guys, your senior post player. Trey Kellum is going to join us. And, of course, Kellum hit the game-winning free throws to beat Murray State last Thursday night. 5.6 seconds left. He needs to make the first to tie. He sinks that. Timeout, trying to ice him. He comes back out there and sinks what turned out to be the game-winning free throw. We'll ask him about what goes through a guy's mind when he's at the line in a pressure situation. But that's a pretty big pressure situation right there. Down 1, 5 seconds to go. If you miss them, you lose.
Well, I tell you this. First of all, I thought we got a clean look. Denzel Mahoney, he was wide open on that three-point attempt, and those are shots that he normally knocks down. But Trey did a great job of tracking down the offensive rebound, getting contact, and getting to the free throw line, and then to have the presence of mind to go in and knock down those 2 free throws. And didn't even hit the rim. Really did a great job, made him calmly. But then he could have became the GOAT of the game because he got the defensive rebound. It reminded me back to Kansas State about 4 or 5 years ago when the young man got the defensive rebound and started celebrating and called him for a travel. And then the opposing team in the Big 12 tournament hit the game-winning shot based on that. So they ended up calling a double dribble on Trey. But then he also did a great job of, like, we put him on the inbounder. And if people don't realize that the actual Trey got a tip on the ball while he was trying to pass it in with the 0.1 seconds left. And so because Trey tipped the basketball on the ball, like, the clock started right then and there. And so the game was over with at that point in time. So if Trey doesn't get his hand on the ball, because unfortunately Terrell Miller came off that thing wide open with an attempt at the rim. Now he ended up missing it, but if Trey doesn't get his fingertips on that ball, then he has a chance to win the game.
And it happened really quickly after he'd hit the free throws. 5.6 seconds left, and so Jonathan Stark is racing the ball down court for what could have been a game-winning shot, and he gets stripped. Was it Trey that stripped him? Who stripped him?
Well, Trey usually reaches, so it's either Trey reached, Antonius reached, or Jalen Benton, but it was only Antonius and Trey out there at that point in time, so one of those guys reached. I think it was actually Antonius, but I'm sure Trey reached as well, too.
All right, well, we'll ask him a little bit later on in the show when he joins us. I'm sure he's perusing the menu right about now. But in speaking about Trey, those 5 games that you were without him, boy, that was a tough stretch there. You went 1-4 in those 4 games, and the one victory that you got, I think, was over Henderson State. But the 4 games that you lost were against Division I teams, and you really saw at that point, you knew how important he was, but I think you saw it firsthand how critical he is to your team when he wasn't in there to help you with DePaul and Chicago State and Cornell and Missouri State.
Yeah, our trip out to Vegas just wasn't very good at all. I thought we didn't play very well against Cornell or Chicago State. And then I thought we had an unbelievable chance of winning at DePaul. Just couldn't pull it together. But I think it's fair to say that we missed Trey during that stretch. And if we'd have had him in some of those ball games, I liked our chances much better. But Trey is a young man that gives us a presence as far as being able to score down low. He's not your prototypical big man where he's back to the basket, where he can turn and face and really drive around people and make plays and uses his quickness to get around people. So when we don't have him, when we're throwing the ball down low to Changa, he just doesn't have that skill set to score yet. And Milos is really not a back-to-the-basket guy. He's more of a perimeter, 4-man. So when we don't have him in the lineup, really our best low-post scorer besides Trey is probably Antonius, because he feels comfortable being able to score with people on his back and be able to turn and face and score in the post. So when we don't have him, we really lack a presence of being able to score around the rim.
As a coach, I know you're focused in on the next game. You're focused in on recruiting, your game plans. I mean, you got a lot of things you focused in on. When you're just, a moment by yourself, do you think when you're playing like you are right now, boy, I'd like to play DePaul now. I'd like to play Chicago State now. With the way that we're playing right now, I'd like to play some of those teams that maybe we came up a little short earlier in the season.
Well, the one that goes back and I always keep going back to is the game at Tennessee State. Some of those non-conference games, they seem like they're so far removed at this point in time. It seemed
Right.
like it happened last year. Obviously, technically, it did happen the last calendar year. But the one that just keeps going back up to me is the Tennessee State game. I thought we had a great chance to win that game. Obviously, we didn't have Milos at that point in time, so we ended up playing small. We had a whole front line in foul trouble. We just found a way to get 3 points in that game, get 2 points in that game, get 1 point in the game. That's a game I always go back to.
Boy, they've come back to earth a little bit. I'm surprised. They've been kind of scuffling a little bit here at Tennessee State.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. I think in this league, you're starting to find out that if you can't score, you're going to have a hard time, winning ball games. And they're a really, really good defensive team. But at some point in time, you got to be able to score the basketball. I think a team like SIUE, who's a tough, physical, hard-nosed team, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to put the ball in the bucket. And what we're experiencing right now, we're being able to score the basketball, and that's really helped us because, quite honestly, our defense hasn't been, where we need it to be. It's been good at times, but it hasn't been good throughout the whole course of the game or throughout a stretch of games.
And it's fair to say, though, your defense has been better lately.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, in our last game there against Austin Peay, I told our guys at halftime, whoever chooses to play defense here in the second half is going to win the game. So it's whether we want to play defense or Austin Peay wants to play defense, because I think both offenses were more than capable enough, and I think they got the best perimeter player in the conference on their team. But if somebody decides to step up to the plate and play defense, they're going to win.
All right, your offense now, that's 7 times in the last 10 games you have shot over 50% from the field. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, our guys are really starting to figure out where their lot in life is and how they can score the ball and where their opportunities are. And the thing you got to continue to talk to your guys about is the opportunities, moving the ball. And I think our guys are doing a much better job of sharing the basketball and finding opportunities to score. Before, I thought sometimes it becomes a free-for-all, and guys are just hunting shots or hunting their own opportunities. And I think we're shooting such a high percentage because our shot selection has really grown as the season has progressed. I thought sometimes we settle for bad, quick shots, and we still do that at times. That's human nature. That's basketball. But I think the reason why we're shooting such a high percentage, both from the 2 points and from 3 points, is that our shot selection has really grown.
By the way, it has been announced by the Ohio Valley Conference. Denzel Mahoney is the freshman of the week for the 3rd consecutive week. And, why not? First of all, 23 points, ties his career high at Murray State, and he has 22 points at Austin Peay. He missed 4 free throws, which he's never done in that game, where he probably has a career high against Austin Peay. Boy, he's playing really well, Coach. You can see the confidence now. He believes, or at least it appears, he believes he can get to the rim against anybody.
Yeah, and I tell you what's happening is our guards are doing such a good job on ball screen penetration when he sets it that it puts the opposing team in a bind, because now you have to respect the fact that a guy like Antonius Cleveland or Taj can get to the rim and make a play, that you have to help on the ball screen defense, which in turns leave a guy closing out to Denzel Mahoney. And Denzel has proven that he can make 3-point shots. So now what's happening is Denzel's starting to figure out that people are closing out to him hard to take away his 3-point shot, and he's using his strength and power to get to the rim and finish. And I think that's the thing that's changed the most for him, is he's starting to figure out that, hey, I don't have to shoot that 3-pointer. I can drive on people and get to the rim and make plays, not just for himself, but also others. But he's really doing a great job of finishing at the rim. Our spacing is so much better now, and part of the reason it's helping is because guys are making shots. But Denzel was a big-time threat when he pops on that ball screen action.
And also a guy that plays the 4 position. It's a little bit more of a rarity that he's an 80+% free throw shooter, and Denzel is.
Yeah, and I tell you, each one of our guys is really not the position that they are. Like Trey Kellum is playing the 5, but he's really not a 5. Denzel Mahoney is playing the 4, but he's really not a 4. He's a 3. So we've got guys that are playing on the front line. A guy like Milos, who's really not your 5-man when he plays a 5. He's a 4. And really when he's at the 4 spot, has the ability to pass, dribble, and shoot like a 3-man at times. So our whole front line is skilled and undersized, so it makes it a hard matchup. And so now what we have is we have a guy like Denzel Mahoney who's playing that 4 spot, and really what he is a 3.
Okay, if he's a 3 going forward, do you see him moving to the 3 at some point in the future? Or are you going to keep him where he's successful at the 4?
Not if he keeps playing like that. We're not moving him to the 3. We're not doing anything with him at all. And the funny thing is that he started playing that position out of necessity. We originally had him playing the 3 spot. And so what happened, Joel Angus gets hurt. Then we have William Changas going through the amateurism status with the NCAA. And so we're forced to play him at the 4 spot. And so in that week of practice, I mean, it was just obvious to me that our offense was so much better and we had a chance to score the ball with him at the 4. And I remember having a conversation with him. I said, hey, I know that you want to play the 3 spot, and I know that means a lot to you. But I would like for you to play the 4, but I'm not going to force you to play the 4. So I got a proposal for you. You do what you want to do. You can play those 5 to 10 minutes a game, backing up Antonius Cleveland at the 3 spot, or you can possibly play 25 minutes a game starting at the 4 spot. You tell me what you want to do, and we'll roll with it. He says, Coach, I want to play the 4 spot. The guys want those minutes.
And the minutes have been kind to Denzel Mahoney. 23 points in the game against Murray State, 9 of 15 from the field, and he hit all 4 of his free throws. He also grabbed 5 rebounds in the game and did not commit a turnover.
Yeah, I mean, him taking care of the basketball. I think we only had 12 turnovers in that game against Austin Peay. And, what we want to do is that's our goal. We want to have 12 or less turnovers because we don't want to create offense for the other team. And I thought he did a terrific job of taking care of the basketball because really, when you think about it in our offense, there's nobody else that has the ball in their hands more than our 4-man than the point guard. So he has the ball a lot, and he has to make decisions. He's done a good job of making those decisions.
So you're down 14 points at Murray State on Thursday. What was your message when you were down double figures on the road to Murray State?
Well, I thought the first thing we talked about is our inability to stay out of foul trouble. We've got to quit fouling them. We've got to quit sending them to the free throw line. And I thought in the first half that we settled for a lot of quick contested 3-point shots. And what we wanted to do is we need to grind the ball more, get the ball inside by penetration or throw the ball inside the tray. And really the biggest difference was we got out and defended in our 1-3-1 defense starting off the second half, and we were able to knock some balls loose, and our pressure in that 1-3-1 caused turnovers. And once we got those turnovers, we were able to go down and play advantage basketball on the other end, and we did a great job of executing that.
Were you surprised they didn't go zone a little quicker than they did?
I thought they were going to play a zone a lot more, period. And, that's the one thing that after I believe it was the Illinois game, we played Illinois, and we were having all the success with our man-to-man offense, and they switched to a zone. And really, we weren't prepared to play zone offense. I thought I did a poor job of preparing our team and having them ready for zone offense. And ever since that point in time, anytime I see a team and while I'm watching tape play any sort of zone, we work on our zone offense, getting prepared for that game, because I'm always fearful of the fact that we're not going to be locked in and prepared for a zone. And so we prepared for zone offense against Murray State because they had shown some 2-3, and then they went 2-3 at the end there. So I was a little surprised because I thought Terrell Miller had a little bit of a difficulty keeping up with Denzel Mahoney on the perimeter in all of our pick and pop situations. But I thought at some point in time they would play zone, but I just thought they would do it earlier.
So at the very end of the game, it looks like you had won the game after you stripped Jonathan Stark with, what turned out to be 1/10 of a second to go. What goes through your mind when they're going over to look at the video? Because I kept thinking this guy's got the greatest eyesight in the history of officiating. If he saw a double dribble with 1/10 of a second at live speed and they put 1/10 of a second back on the clock, what's going through your mind? And you're thinking, okay, if they're putting some time on the clock, it's probably going to be a play where they're going to have to tip it.
Well, the first question, we needed to get from the referees is where the ball was going to be taken out at. Because there's a big difference in how do you defend when the ball is being taken out on the sideline and when it's being taken out underneath the basket. And so when they told us they was going to be taken out underneath the basket, now it becomes a bigger threat for them to get a tip or a quick score at the rim because the pass is not as long. And so then you start preparing your guys. What are we going to do with our man-to-man defense or zone defense up underneath the basket, because typically what we do, we're in a zone, but it's really a man-to-man and we switch everything. And so now it's like matchups. Who do we put on the ball? Do we want to put somebody taller, out there and not put somebody taller on the ball? Because there's two schools of thought. You can put your bigger guys out on the court and then have those guys switch everything so you have some height and size at the rim, or you can put your tallest guy on the ball and then now he can deflect or get something like that. So we chose to put Trey on the ball. Now all we talked about was, hey, everything's got to go to the rim. Everything's got to go to the rim. But you're preparing your team for this out of bounds play, but you really don't know how much time is going to be on the clock. You could think it's going to be 0.1, but they could come back with 1.1. And now all of a sudden that changes everything that you've been talking about in defending the rim, because now they can get a shot off. So it's a little hectic.
On that final play, after Trey hit the free throw and they have to go the length of the floor, is the last message to your team, do not foul?
Yeah, well, the first message is don't let them get on the run. To me, I think that's the biggest problem when people talk about like those full court situations, that they don't pick up full court and they allow people to get on the run. To me, the most important thing is like, hey, get behind people and don't let them get on the run. Now, we did a poor job because we wanted to put Antonius on start because we thought his length would bother him, but he's unfamiliar in picking up the ball in full court. In hindsight, we should have just kept our guard on there because they pick up the ball full court the whole time, so they're accustomed to doing that. And then also we had somebody who would call it cupping, to not let the guy split the ball, because the guy taking the ball out of bounds is really not a threat. So you can just leave him and you can use that guy to kind of cup the ball handler and keep him under control. We did neither. And so he was able to split us and get to the rim. And that's the last thing you want to happen. You want those guys to make sure you keep them in front of you.
Once he kind of got loose and was coming into the paint, were you thinking, please don't let there be a whistle? I kept thinking there was going to be a whistle.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That if you allow them to get into the paint, now you put the game in the referee's hands. If you keep them out on the perimeter and you don't reach or foul, then you understand that. But once the ball gets into that paint, you're really at the mercy of the officials, and that's what you don't want to do.
And they had a nice crowd, almost 3,100 there. They're the kings of the OVC, have been for years. 24 OVC championships. Pretty good college basketball atmosphere in that place, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they did a good job of supporting their team, and for that particular game, it's a rivalry game, so it was really loud. It was a great environment, and we talked to our guys about ELO, meaning like early, loud, and often. And I really don't address crowds very much because I don't believe in it. To me, I always say until somebody comes out of the crowd and hits a three-pointer, then the crowd shouldn't affect you. So we just got to go out and play basketball. But I thought our guys did a great job of not letting the environment bother them at all.
All right, so you win against Murray State. What's the first thing you say to your team when they get in the locker room? Obviously, they're pretty excited.
Well, we talked before that game that I thought that there was no team in the OVC that has faced as much adversity as we have. And the fact is, I was really proud of the way that they continue to get better throughout all the adversity. And I thought our team was really coming together. And more than anything, I told them I was excited about what's in our future before that game started, because I can see that we're turning the corner and we're getting better. But then after that game, I talked to them about, I overheard Antonius talking to a couple of his players, his teammates, about the fact that he had never won there. So, like, to me, it really touched me that you got a guy like Antonius Cleveland, who's given so much to the university and to the basketball program, talking about that he's never won at Murray State and how much it would mean to him to win at Murray State his senior year. So to give that gift to Jamal Calvin and to Antonius Cleveland, to Trey Kellum, guys that have been here and had to change coaches and now are starting to experience some success, to me, that's the thing that has gratified me, that those guys got a chance to experience that.
So the Redhawks beat the Racers 75-74. That is the 6th win in that building. They went into that game in conference games. That building was open in 98, so this is a 19-year cycle for that building. They were 94-15 in conference games. That was your 6th win in there. No team has won at Murray more than Southeast Missouri State. That's kind of a neat note.
Oh, I really didn't know that. Now, I know you said that after the game, but, that means that it really is a rivalry, because you don't win games and there's no such thing as a rivalry.
Yeah, it's the hammer and the nail, right? That's not really a rivalry. So then you go to Austin P, and that's a tough place to win. I believe that SEMO went from 98 to 2013 and never won a game. And they play there every year. And there were a couple of times where they played first-round tournament games there. They used to – the top four would host. They'd even played tournament games there. So more than one time per year at Austin P, and they went a stretch of 15 years with 0 victories. So that has been a hard place to win. Dave Luce, the winningest coach in OVC history. And not only did you get there, but you controlled most of that game against Austin P on Saturday. You were in control for a lot of that game.
Well, I've got a lot of respect for Austin P. Anybody knows the situation there with Dave Luce. He's an unbelievable coach. And then also what he's battling and going through with the cancer. He told me he had one more treatment of chemotherapy, and then he'd be done with the treatment of chemotherapy. But just how tough he is to be out there playing, means coaching the team right there while he's going through that. And then Josh Robinson, I think, is the best player in our conference. I mean, he's such an explosive scorer. He can score with – he can beat you with 3-pointers. He can get to the rim. He can shoot pull-ups.
You think he's better than Stark?
I really do believe that. And the difference between him and Stark to me is, like, I think that Josh Robinson just lets the game come to him. If you want to trap him. He'll just pass the ball, and then he'll get it back and make the right play. I just think that he's a really unselfish basketball player in his calm demeanor, excuse me, and the way he goes about his business. But I really thought if there was any way at all that we could control Josh Robinson, that we would have a chance to win the game.
Boy, did you ever control Josh Robinson. He's the league's leading scorer, 175 career three-pointers, and he hit 1 3-pointer in the game, goes 3 of 12, and barely got to double figures, 10 points. I mean, he was frustrated all night long.
Well, I'll tell you this, the one thing that really helped us in that game was that we had just got done playing a similar opponent that gave us the same problem. So the game plan with Stark, with him being a point guard and him being such a dynamic scorer, and then going to play Austin P with Josh Robinson, who's a point guard and a dynamic scorer, and they said ball strings for him. The game plan was really quite similar. The only thing that we changed with Josh Robinson is like when he gave the ball up, we told our guards, don't let him get it back. Just deny him. Let's play 4-on-4 basketball. And I thought our guys did a great job. We made that adjustment at halftime by trying to keep the ball out of his hands more. And then obviously they learned from their experience at Murray State with Stark. And so those guys saw the things that they did wrong, and we showed them some things on tape with our bigs. And when we was trapping, trying to get the ball out of Stark hands, I thought they carried that over into the game plan against Austin P. So us playing a similar opponent gave us some of the same problems. We can now make those adjustments just 2 days later.
22 points in that game for Denzel Mahoney. He hit a couple of three-pointers, had 5 rebounds. Antonius Cleveland finished with 17 points, 6 rebounds, did most of his damage in the second half. I thought in the first half they did a nice job of kind of frustrating Antonius.
Yeah, they did a good job of like 31. We call it 31, which is collapsing the lane. They kept everybody closing around him. So every time he touched the basketball, he didn't really have a lot of driving angles and room to drive the basketball. I thought in the second half, we passed the ball more. And so now it's harder to maintain that discipline through 4 and 5 passes. It's really easy to maintain that discipline with 1 or 2 passes.
Their post player, Kenny Jones, kind of an undersized post player, but similar to Trey Kellerman, that he moves well, and he can outmaneuver a lot of 5 guys in our league. I think he had 3 dunks in the first half, decided to do a chin-up on the first dunk and got a technical foul. Did a chin-up on the second dunk, didn't get a technical. Were you a little surprised he didn't get a technical the second time?
No, I was not surprised at all. And in our game plan for him changed. It's like, hey, let's not let this guy dunk. Like that's the new scouting report for Kenny Jones. Like, just stop him from dunking.
Well, you contained him, I thought, in the second half, and he ends up fouling out of the game. But I thought you frustrated him a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, there was a little chirping going on there, but that happens in basketball. I'm always surprised when there's no chirping going on between somebody in a basketball game.
All right, you out-rebound Austin P also 33-30. That had to make you happy, considering that your size is somewhat hampered by injuries and ineligibility of Chenga.
Yeah, I tell you this. I think Austin P really presents a problem with their front line because they're quick. You say Kenny Jones is not your typical 5-man. He's only undersized 4, and he's not very big. So I think he only weighs 185 pounds. So he uses his quickness to get to the rim. Their 4-man is really similar to Denzel in build and quickness. So they use their front line to use their quickness to go get offensive rebounds. And so I thought our guys did a great job of finding guys and keeping them out of the lane.
All right. And the final shooting stat in this game, 54% on your side, and you held them to 32% shooting in the second half. You really had to like the way you gave them defensive looks and executed in the second half.
Yeah, I thought we had a lot of mental breakdowns, some things that were really correctable errors that we did in the first half. And I thought we addressed those correctable errors at halftime, and our guys went out and executed and carried it over. And I thought once we locked into the things that we can do based on our principles, we did a great job of defending, but not just defending, but also coming up with the defensive rebound to end that possession.
And Jamal Calvin came off the bench again. And not only did he finish with double digits, but hit all 4 of his free throws. He doesn't get to the line a whole lot, but when he gets there, he makes them. So it looks like he's a little more comfortable after missing a couple of games with that sore foot.
Yeah, and I think more so than anything, his foot is not the problem. It was his conditioning. So once he got back and was able to play, he was getting winded really quickly. And Jamal is a young man that's in outstanding shape. Usually wins a lot of sprints when we have running. So I think it was more so his wind, not having his lungs back, more so than the foot.
All right. So when you took over, before we go to commercial break and bring Trey up, when you took over, you probably go through an evaluation phase. Do you look at video before you're working guys out to kind of see what you're dealing with? And what were your thoughts when you were kind of evaluating Trey before you ever got a chance to coach him?
Well, I really don't believe in that. I think what you got to do is you got to have a clean slate. And I think sometimes a young man has picked up some bad habits, and more importantly, that he's improving and maturing in this game. So what I like to do is I like to get on the court and work with them. And an opportunity with basketball, when you get a job, you still have that little bit of April and May that you can still get on the court and work with your guys. And so the one thing that I noticed right away, that he was a guy that really had a tenacity to go get the basketball. We were doing drills, and he used his quickness, and he could go track down the ball. Some guys, like Dennis Rodman never blocked out anybody in his whole career. He just went and got the ball. And that's what Trey does. Trey has a nose to just go get the ball. And so anybody that's got some toughness to him, I think they always got a chance to help you. And that's the thing that kind of rang true when I got done watching and observing him in the individual workout, that I knew that he could do something because he has some toughness.
Trey Kellum, who hit the game-winning free throws against Murray State, going to join us when we come back. Let's take a time out here with Coach Rick Ray. We're at Wings, Etc. in Cape Girardeau, the Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
About Wings, Etc. See, Wings, Etc. has those award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. Now, the word is getting out about Wings, Etc.'s appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep-fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings, Etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings, Etc.'s daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings, Etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings, Etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings, Etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings, Etc. is a really big deal around here.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Gorgeous weather here through midweek. We're going to look at mild temperatures in the forecast. Readings running above average. We should normally be in the mid-40s this time of year, but we'll be up close to 50 today with sunshine. Few clouds tonight, low 36. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high 57, and sunshine's in the forecast midweek. Temperatures in the low 50s. Richard DeWettig at the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Golick for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
It's the Redhawks Coaches Show live from Wings, Etc. in Cape Girardeau. Coach Rick Ray joined us for the opening segment, and we'll Talk with him coming up in a few minutes about the game coming up on Wednesday night at Jacksonville State University, and they're a really good defensive team. The Redhawks will be making the 7+ hour bus ride down to Jacksonville. We want to remind you that at Wings, they have their daily half-pound lunch specials that start at just $6.49. So if you're in the market for lunch this afternoon, come on by. Lunch specials start at $6.49. They've got food and drink specials throughout the week, including their 59-cent wings on Mondays. So if you want to try their wings, they're just 59 cents on Mondays. They have a terrific kids menu, and they are open 7 days a week and late on the weekends because the games run late. Let's welcome in Trey Kellum, the senior post player for the Redhawks. I want to say, well, the senior center, the senior forward, post player might best describe you. Have you ever played really the true 5 position before this year?
No, this is my first, last year, but these last couple of years was my first time playing the 5, but it's kind of the same thing, different matchups, but it's almost kind of the same thing.
So when you heard that you were going to have to play the 5 position, did you know that you had to make any adjustments, or did you make any adjustments?
I knew I had to get a little bit stronger. I had to get my game had to get a little bit more physical. I think I'm being too much more physical on the defensive end, picking up a lot of fouls, but it's pretty much the same in OVC. I just got to keep a humble mindset and just go out every night and try to play hard.
That's what I heard from a lot of people getting ready to come into the season. You kept hearing people say, do they have enough size? It doesn't seem like they've got enough size. Well, 6'7", I mean, your size, that's perfect size in this league. You've got to kind of know what conference you're playing in. There aren't a bunch of 6'10", 240-pound athletes running around this conference.
No, it's not a lot of them running around, period, unless they're in the NBA. But me being 6'7" and me being able to be mobile around the block and move and get rebounds and help use my quickness, that's our advantage on the defensive end and on the offensive end too. So me not being a 6'9" post player, it has its benefits too.
Boy, and the fact that you're going to win a lot of quickness matchups down on the post. That move that you've got where you go to the reverse layup off the window, is that your favorite move down there? What's your favorite move down on the post?
That is my favorite move. Since I've been little, I always like to reverse on the other side of the backboard just so the defense can have a chance to block my shot. And it's just something that, it's kind of more exciting. I don't really dunk too many balls, but me reversing is like me dunking to me. So that's why I do it a lot.
Well, it was your free throw shooting that ended up winning the game. That's after you got the offensive rebound. But your free throw shooting last year, you were under 60% shooting free throws. You're at 58%. And this year, over 70. You came into the game 71%. What did you do to become – I mean, that's a big jump. That's 13 percentage points. What did you do to jump from the upper 50s into the low 70s?
I really just sat down and I thought about it. I looked at my percentage, and I knew that wasn't the type of player I was. I always had a nice touch around the rim and in the paint. I just knew me shooting 58% I was just selling myself short. So I just worked this whole summer. Even when I wasn't with the team, I used to go in the park and shoot free throws at night with the lights on with my brother. So that's something I really emphasize on this summer, shooting a lot of free throws.
Well, it paid off at Murray State. 5.6 seconds left. So you're down 1. You're going to the line. What goes through your mind, first of all, before the first free throw, then the timeout, and you have to go into the huddle? What's going through your mind before you take the first free throw?
The first thing that went through my mind, it's really loud in here. They was really yelling. I tried not to look in the stands. I tried to stay focused, but really I was just trying to make these free throws and get out of here because I knew a lot of things could happen. So I was ready to get back to the hotel room and just lay down and watch some TV. All
right, so you make the first free throw. Then Matt McMahon, the head coach of Murray State, calls timeout. You go into the huddle. Is it like a baseball no-hitter where a pitcher's got a no-hitter? Nobody talks to the pitcher. Did anybody say anything to you? Did the coach say anything to you before you shot the free throw? What was the huddle like before you went out there to shoot the last free throw in a tie game?
I think the only two people that didn't say anything was Coach Ray and Antonius. Everybody else was kind of in my ear saying, come on, Trey, make the free throw. You can make it. You can make it. So I think Coach Ray and Antonius did a good job of just letting me be on my own and me stepping up to the plate.
Right. And you could thank Denzel Mahoney because if he makes the three-point basket, you aren't going to be probably the hero in the game, but he missed it. Yeah. So that gave you a chance to be the hero. You have been, since you joined the OVC, one of the top offensive rebounders in the league. I mean, the stats bear that out. what makes you such a good offensive rebounder? I'm not saying you're not a good defensive rebounder, but your forte is offensive rebounding.
I think it's just me wanting to have the ball so bad that I kind of do anything I can just to get my hands on the ball. Like sometimes I be down there pushing people. They don't really call it sometimes, but I really want my hands on the ball and I feel like I can score. So that's why I really attack the boards like that.
Take us through that last play. Mahoney spots up for a three. What's going through your mind? What kind of positioning are you getting there? Because there are only going to be about 5 seconds left. Are you thinking when the ball's in the air, are you always thinking offensive rebound?
Yeah, all the time. Every time a shot goes up and I see my man drifting away from me, looking at the ball as it's in the air, I always kind of wedge a man. And like it seemed like the ball just came kind of right towards me. So I just jumped with 2 hands and I got it. I gave him a little shot fake. He jumped and he fouled me.
And what goes through your mind now? You're at the free throw line to make what turned out to be the game-winning free throw. We didn't know at that time. There was still 5 seconds left. When it left your hands, did you know it was good? And then what was the next thing that went through your mind after you made it?
When it left my hands, I knew it was good. It hit all net. So that kind of made me – the first one made me feel real good about my second free throw because it was all net. But the second one, I knew it was going in. And then we had caught the time. I knew they had like 5, 6 seconds left. And they got a tremendous player in Jonathan Stark. So I knew it wasn't over yet. So we had to just keep our composure.
Do you think icing players works if a coach calls a timeout? Did your anxiety level or your heartbeat level go up at all because you had to go and think about it during a timeout?
That really didn't play a part in me making that second free throw. If anything, that kind of helped me out. I got a little towel, wiped my hands off, drank a little water. But to be honest, that icing really didn't have an effect on my second free throw.
All right, so you guys at least want to put a little pressure on the ball handler, Stark, to make it tougher for him to get across center court and get a final shot. As he starts to drive, he's coming in right of the lane, and he ends up getting stripped. Who did the stripping?
I really think Antonio he poked the ball loose, but I was the one to pick it up. We both was about to reach, and he beat me to it. So I kind of played off a little bit, and the ball popped in my hand.
So the double dribble was called.
Yeah.
Did you think that the time had expired? Is that what happened?
I did double dribble, but I didn't know how much time was left. I was going to check the ball, but I didn't want to throw it out of bounds and get on the ball right back, So I tried to dribble again. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just held the ball, but it was a good call by the officials. I didn't think they was going to catch it, but we on the road, so they're going to catch it.
All right, so then you go from thinking game over, we just beat Murray State, to they're going to look at the video, and there's a good chance that you're going to have to play one more play. What are you thinking then?
This whole time I'm thinking like, man, I just made these 2 free throws and I come down and I travel, and I double. So I kind of just put us in another bad position. But I knew that it couldn't have been more than half a second left because I was kind of looking at the clock as I was dribbling. But I just knew I had to just be composed and just play defense, and that was going to win the game for us.
Trey Kellum, who was a champion in high school, Peoria Central High School. Not only were you an all-state, you won a state championship. What was that like?
That's probably the best feeling in my life. That's winning a lot of games. We was 28-3. We beat a lot of ranked teams. We was finished second behind Simeon in the whole state. So that was probably the best feeling.
All right,
of my career.
I'm from Illinois as well, Macomb. So we're kind of on opposite sides of the state there with Peoria. But you always wearing that Bulls hat. Yeah. So you're a big Bulls fan, no?
I'm not. I'm a Lakers fan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you're a Lakers fan. Yeah. So growing up as a Laker fan, who was your guy?
I love Kobe Bryant. I just like how he attacks, his dedication to the game, how hard he plays, and this is how he uses his mental, his toughness to get by a lot of things. So I try to mimic his game like that, as far as like the mental toughness side.
So you're a fan of the Mamba then?
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
All right, Trey Kellum, our guest here on the Coaches Show. We are at Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau. So you guys get the big win over Murray State. You got your wish. You got to go relax in the hotel after the game. Then it's off to Austin Peay, and they've got a little different type of post player that you're going to be matching up against, Kenny Jones, and it looked like there was a little talking going on during that game.
There's always a lot of talking going on between me and sometimes Antonius. They always be chirping on the sidelines and on the court. So we try to just do our own thing on the court, but we always got something to say back. It's kind of, we got to stop, but it makes the game funner to us, so we just always have something to say.
You look like you're a little frustrated there with the officiating at times, and it's one of those deals where as a player, do sometimes after a play is over, you kind of think, man, I wish I could get explained to me what is a foul and what is not a foul.
Yeah, I try every time I get a foul. I always find my way to ask the referee what I did wrong. If I didn't have my hands high enough, if I didn't jump out to get in the jump high enough or anything like that. But every time I foul, I just want to find an explanation, so I won't do the same thing over and over.
I think that's a smart play because I see you talking with the officials, but it's never in a in a real angry tone. Yeah. And as long as you're not in a bad tone with an official, they'll usually have a conversation with you, right?
Mm-hmm. They tell me what I did wrong, but it really doesn't dictate how they're gonna call the next foul. Sometimes they just tell me anything and just keep the game going, but you just gotta be persistent and keep on asking them. Maybe they just won't give me the foul next time.
Well, I appreciated the way that you reacted after your last foul. You fouled out of the game against Austin Peay. It looked like literally the guy was on your back. Yeah. But the thing was, you didn't say anything. You just sprinted over to the bench, and that was probably, if you're not a senior, you may have reacted differently. But I thought that was a very mature way to handle it because I know you were frustrated.
Yeah, that was a tough call. I tried to sell my own foul. He pushed me in the back. I tried to kind of flop a little bit. I turned around. He's pointing at me, saying I fouled him. And my first instinct was just to get out the way because I was really mad at that.
Was it the Oregon guy the other day that flopped? Did you see that?
Yeah, I seen that's pretty bad.
Is that the worst flop of all time?
As far as college basketball, that's the worst one. But I think LeBron James and James Harden on the NBA level has some worse ones.
Those guys are floppers. Do you think does that pay dividends at the college level as it does maybe in the NBA? Do you think?
It does when you're a guard. A lot of bigs you can't really flop down there unless you're trying to sell a car. But if you're on the wing, you got the ball in your hand, you can flop on the wing, try to flop on the ball screen. So it kind of it works for the guards, but not so much for the bigs.
So what did you think these last two games? The atmosphere and the attendance numbers were really good at Austin Peay and at Murray State. When you decide you want to play college basketball, those are the types of atmospheres I would think that a guy really thrives in, playing in arenas like that. Those are two of the best arenas, and they were two of the loudest arenas the last two times you guys played.
Yeah, both the games have been sold out pretty much. That was my first time playing at Murray State. I didn't play last year, but they always have a good crowd. I was kind of surprised by Austin Peay having a nice crowd like they did, but I think we kind of feed off the crowd. When there's not a lot of people in the stands, we kind of get complacent and just do our own thing. But when there's somebody in the crowd, we tend to play a little bit harder.
All right, you've got two other seniors that you guys are playing to win a conference championship, Antonius Cleveland and Jamal Calvin. What's it been like playing with Antonius and seeing his game really progress? Because it has.
He came a long way from me first meeting him. We kind of had our own little wars when I was sitting out my sophomore year, and I think he was a junior, and I was sitting out. I used to guard him. He used to guard me. A lot of trash talking, but his game had really grown a lot. He became more mature. His body changed a lot since I met him. He was a little skinny little guy. Now he's filling out. And for Jamal, Jamal has always been real consistent at shooting the ball. He always had one thing he wanted to do was to be a top-notch three-point shooter, and I think he really taking his game to the next level by being a better leader on the team. So,
I think he's third in the league in three-point shooting percentage, or at least was going into the Austin Peay game. How about these young guys now? Denzel Mahoney, 3 times now OVC Freshman of the Week. What are your thoughts on Denzel? What a good player he's turned out to be for you guys.
Yeah, Denzel, he's having a terrific season. He's kind of surprising me at some of the things he's doing. I knew Denzel was good and he'd have his time, but as quick as it came this year, it caught me a little off guard, but I'm happy for him.
How about the way that he attacks the basket? We're starting to see him get really more aggressive the deeper we get into conference play.
He attacks the basket like a crazy man. Like he gonna put the ball down, and he's gonna get to the rim. Like you're gonna have to really get in front of him to stop him. So you really can't put your hands on nobody. So he really has his way with other people's defense.
Boy, and for a guy that plays the 4 to shoot free throws like he does, boy, what a good touch he's got.
Yeah, Denzel, he's not a forward, man. He's really like a guard with he got a real nice touch. He really has a nice touch, and I really believe in this game. So I think it's gonna be Denzel gonna have a lot of success playing for SEMO these next couple of years.
All right, how about Taj Edey? He's really starting to turn the corner as well. And there's another guy. You just watch him play, and you can see, boy, he's a confident young man.
Yeah, I say Taj out of all the freshmen, he had like the best skill set as far as like dribbling, passing, shooting, his IQ. It just took a little time because he had to find his way on the defensive end, and he kind of had to adjust to how kind of physical the game was. But when he got that down, Taj, he's a great player, so he's gonna fight through it.
All right, what's the mood of the team right now. You guys have won 4 in a row. The only team in the league that has a better record than you is Belmont. That's it. You're tied for first place in the OVC West. I know there are still, there are 7 conference games left, so you've still got a long trip to make here to Jacksonville State. But the payoff, if you can win the OVC West division, is a double bye into the semifinals of the OVC tournament. Does that go through your mind at all?
Yeah, that's all we talk about. Me and Tony is Joel and Jamal. Every time we go home to the apartment, we're like, man, we can't believe we're in this position to have a double seed, So we talk about it every night, and we just got to stay focused and not take it for granted that we got this position, but you just got to keep on pushing and keep on fighting so we can just stay where we're at.
All right. It's going to be Jacksonville State, and that's going to be on. Now, they've got a 7-footer at Jacksonville State. Now, he's missed the last 2 games. I guess he was in a walking boot, but he's being described as day-to-day. How often have you had to go up against guys who stand 7 feet tall? He didn't play the other day. He's having a good year for them. How many times have you had to go up against a guy 7 feet tall?
Only one time. That was against Myers Leonard, and he really, he was a real 7-footer with a nice skill set. But most of the time, when you see a big guy that's 7 foot in our league or any kind of league that's not like a Power 5, he probably is kind of slow or stiff or he really can't move. So when I see a 7-footer, my eyes kind of light up because I know I can just drive by him all the time.
You're going to have the quickness advantage, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it'll be on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock down in Jacksonville, Alabama. Trey, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.
That's Trey Kellum. We'll take a timeout. Coach Rick Ray will rejoin us. We'll talk a little bit about the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Good defensive team that the Redhawks are going to face as they go for their 5th consecutive victory on Wednesday. You've got the Coaches Show live from Wings Etc. on SEMO ESPN.
About Wings Etc's appetizer lineup. From the ultimate nachos to the deep fried pickle spears, frankly, they're irresistible. Friends are sharing time together at Wings Etc. They've got dining rooms filled with HD TVs tuned to the best sports programming, including NFL Sunday Ticket. The people at the next table are talking about Wings Etc's daily half-pound lunch special, starting at just $6.49. Plus, Wings Etc. has food and drink specials throughout the week, including 59-cent wings every Monday. Plus, there's the kids menu, and Wings Etc. is family-friendly with video games in the dining room. And the whole community is excited about how Wings Etc. is locally owned and operated, and they're proud to support local athletes, their families, schools, and teams. I guess Wings Etc. is a really big deal around here.
Hear the Southeast Redhawks men's and women's basketball teams all season long on SEMO ESPN and Real Rock 99.3. Stream live at SEMOESPN.com and download the SEMO ESPN app to listen. Southeast Basketball brought to you by Moreland Pre-Owned Center on Seamers Drive in Cape. Southeast Health. When cost and quality matters, choose Southeast Health. Cape Girardeau Nature Center in Cape County Park North. And the Code family of dealerships in Cape and Anna, Illinois. Visit drivecode.com.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Gorgeous weather here through midweek. We're going to look at mild temperatures in the forecast. Readings running above average. We should normally be in the mid-40s this time of year. We'll be up close to 50 today with sunshine. A few clouds tonight, low 36. Partly cloudy tomorrow with a high 57, and sunshines in the forecast midweek. Temperatures in the low 50s. Richard Duettiga, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
Well, dude, obviously you'd be better as the focal point of the show. Would I be better for society? No.
Don't miss Russillo and Cannell every weekday at noon on SEMO ESPN.
It's the Redhawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Cape Girardeau. And don't forget to make plans. If you couldn't make it this week, we'll be right back in this location again next Monday at 12 noon. So we certainly want to invite you to come out. And don't forget the big game Sunday. They have a big, get-together here at Wings. They're going to be giving away prizes, both locations, the big game giveaway. In fact, there's a a big leather recliner, a Budweiser leather recliner when you walk in the door here. And so you can get registered for that. So stop by the Atlanta Falcons, the New England Patriots. You can watch it all in high def. And let me see. I just got a message here from Joe. And we want to mention football signing day on Wednesday. Coach Tuke was here a little bit earlier. And signing day is always a big day, Coach. But in football, they usually put a few more names on the dotted lines than in basketball.
Well, it's also different in the fact that in basketball, we have two signing periods. We have an early signing period and a late signing period. And in football, you just have the one. So the anticipation of who those guys are going to get, all the hard work that they put in trying to get those young men to come to that particular university kind of all comes to fruition on just that one day.
And they're going to have a signing day party here. So make sure you stop out at Wings. You can get video of the recruits. You can see the newest Redhawks. Coach Tuke and many of his coaches will be here as well. So that is on Wednesday, signing day party right here at Wings, etc. And coming up this weekend on Saturday, we've got the Hall of Fame games. It'll be the women at 2, the men 4:15, 4:20. And they will have, I guess, 5,000 red T-shirts draped over all the seats in the Show Me Center. Morehead State will be in here. They're one of the teams that's tied with you. Morehead State, even without their coach now, Sean Woods is gone. They're having a really, really good season, and that's going to be a fun time. And the legendary Ron Shoemate is going to go into the Hall of Fame. He probably, I don't know if you've ever met Coach Shoemate.
I have not had the pleasure to meet him. Really looking forward to that this weekend. I know in the annals of like college basketball, when people talk about all the success that SEMO had, it really was attributed to the fact that he did such a good job on the court here in cultivating this basketball program. And the thing you kind of – the way they played, and I never got a chance to experience it for myself, but I understand like they were a great defensive team. They got up into you and pressured you and made it really hard and difficult to compete against. So I'm really happy that they're honoring him and now get a chance to meet him.
All right, that's going to be this Saturday, and make plans because they've got the ticket prices are outstanding. You're going to get the free T-shirt. When the Redhawks win, I think you get 4 free wings with your ticket stub at Wings, etc. And if they hit the number, whatever the number is going to be, you get free Andy's custard. So you could be coming out of there with a T-shirt, a win, wings, and Andy's custard. That's pretty good Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you can take that wings and ice cream. Who can beat that?
All right, let's talk about Jacksonville State, Coach. They are a team that really so far this year has been defensive-oriented. They lead the league in scoring defense. They lead the league in field goal percent defense. This is a team that really gets up into you, like you were talking about with Coach Shoemate. This is a team that really is defense first, right?
Yeah, and I tell you what, there's 2 ways that people defend you. They really pressure you and get up into you and try to bother you, or they pack it in and make it hard for you to get to the rim. So like for us, when a team gets out and pressure you, there's only 2 ways that you can beat that pressure. One is to pass the ball into the paint to a post presence, and the other way is to drive the ball into the paint. So for us, we talk about, hey, we want the ball to move, but if you can't get that ball to move through the air, that means that there's room to drive and penetrate. So you got to have a presence of mind to just go make individual plays and get to the paint. Now, what type of decision maker are you once you get to the paint? To me, that's the most important thing. There's a lot of people that can drive and get to the paint, but what type of decision maker are you once you get to the paint? And that's where we got to make sure we're growing as a team, that once we get to the paint, are we finding the right people? Are we trying to shoot over 3 people? Are we looking behind us to the open man? To me, that's where we got to grow and think, hey, make the right decisions.
All right, they've got a 7-footer. I don't know if he's going to play. Nobertus Giga, 7 feet tall. And he's putting up some really good numbers. 11 points, 5 rebounds. He's a shot blocker. He has been in a walking boot and I guess has missed the last couple of games, but described, at least what I've been able to research, as day-to-day. I guess we just don't know if he's going to be on the floor or not.
Well, actually, him and William Changa went to the same junior college. So they played against each other every day in practice. And so we've got the fortunate opportunity to get a scouting report from William Changa on him. But unfortunately, we can't understand anything that Changa's saying on the scouting report, so we really don't know anything about it.
Their main guy is Malcolm Drumright, coach. He's a junior guard, 15 points, 4 assists, 21st in the league in scoring, 7th in assists, and he has made 40 3-point baskets. So he's their number one guy.
Yeah, he's a guy that can really shoot the basketball. And what they've done is they moved him to point guard, so he's a taller point guard for us. And what we've got to do is we've got to make him work the whole entire game. So we want to pick him up 94 feet, jam him, and just tire him out. And hopefully he doesn't have the legs to make the big shots toward the end of the game, because guys like Jamal Calvin and Jonathan Dalton and Taj have been underneath him the whole time, pressuring him, trying to fatiguing him out.
And they've also got the guy who leads the league in three-point shooting percentage, Eric Durham. Not only does he lead the league, he's second in the country, 51% from three-point range. That's almost unheard of to be over 50%, but clearly a guy that you got to know where he's at.
Yeah, he'll go into that Steph Curry category for us, a guy that we always say we can't give up three-point shots to him. You have to make him bounce the basketball. Even if it's a bad closeout where you get blown by, you have to close out to him and make sure he doesn't get a shot off. So we call those guys stunt and stay guys, where I'm going to go help. I'm just faking. I'm stunting at the guy on the penetration, but I'm not leaving him and getting him an opportunity to get a three-point shot off.
And they've got a couple of local guys. Greg Tucker is from Charleston, Missouri. Began his career at Northern Colorado. Didn't get a whole lot of playing time there. Then he went to Mineral Area, and this is his second year playing for Jacksonville State. And he just had his best game on Saturday against Morehead State, a career-high 27 points. He's hit 88 three-pointers in his 2 years as a Gamecock from right here in this area, Charleston. And he's one of the elite free throw shooters in the OVC, Greg Tucker.
Yeah, Greg Tucker is a young man that's a big, strong, powerful guard. That he's playing the off-guard position for them, but he's more than capable of handling the basketball. He's become a much better shooter over the course of his career, and is doing a great job of making shots for him and making plays for him. He's one of those guys that's kind of a crafty driver. He's going to kind of overpower you and bully ball you a little bit. Doesn't get by you with the quickness of an Antonius Cleveland, more of like a power guard, like a Daniel Simmons.
And then a kid from right here at Cape Central High School, Andre Statham, is in his second season. Now, according to their roster, he's put on 15 pounds from last year. They've got him listed at 240. But a guy who is a bigger guy, who is at least statistically more willing to kind of stand outside and shoot the three-point basket.
Yeah, he puts you in a bind in their ball screen offense, and they run a high-low offense too. When he flashes to the high post, you have to respect his shot. And then also in any sort of a ball screen situation, you got to stay attached to him because he can pick and pop. And he also is a threat to score with his back to the basket. So some guys who are like pick and pop guys like a Denzel are not really threats to score with their back to the basket. Well, he's a threat to score with his back to the basket and also from the perimeter.
All right, Ray Harper is their new coach. He came from Western Kentucky. He won some national championships at NAIA, a really good coach. Everyone kind of figured when he got the job, Jacksonville might start winning some games. Well, it's happening already. I mean, they already won 5 conference games.
Yeah, Ray Harper is an excellent coach. I mean, you talk about some of the things that he did at Division II, and then obviously getting the job at Western Kentucky. And I knew when he got the job at Jacksonville State, I knew 2 things would improve right away with that program. 1 is their win percentage, and 2 is their recruiting. He's got so many contacts that he's gathered throughout his whole coaching career, and everybody just respects the job that he does.
So what's the game plan here against this defensive-oriented team on Wednesday night?
Well, the first thing we got to talk to our team about is them understanding how good they are defensively. And we can't get frustrated if we don't have success on the offensive end and let it affect us what we do on the defensive end. We can't live vicariously through our offense. We've got to defend even when we're not scoring. So I think that's the number one thing. The number 2 thing is just our mentality. We talked to our team today before practice that nobody will remember where you were at this point in time at the end of the season. I mean, don't get wrapped up in where we are and things like that. So you can fake and act like your guys don't know where they are. You're crazy. I mean, they know exactly where they are and where they stand at this point in time. So you might as well address and be honest with them. But to me, the thing that we got to get across to our team that no one's going to really care about them being in first place or tied for first place at the end of January. They're going to care where you are at the end of February.
Well, after this game, that'll wrap up the 3-game road trip. Then the schedule is very home friendly down the stretch. And, obviously you still got 7 conference games left, but the caveat of winning the division is a double bye into the OVC tournament semifinals. I mean, that's the carrot that's out there if you're able to edge out Murray State or UT Martin or whoever's going to challenge for the top spot.
Well, it's amazing. We came into this, league play talking about just getting into the OVC tournament. And obviously we've lost a lot of games in a row at a point in time, and we could do that again if we don't take care of our business. So we've got to have the right mindset. And what we can't talk about is the outcome. What we got to talk about the process of getting better day to day to day, and those things will take care of itself.
And stay healthy.
Yes, that always helps.
All right. Coach, we appreciate the time, and we will see you tomorrow as we head down to Jacksonville, Alabama.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's Coach Rick Ray. We'll get you back into Russillo and Cannell, ESPN Radio coming up. Don't forget the signing day party Wednesday here at Wings, the big game on Sunday at Wings, and we'll be right back in this location at Wings, etc. next Monday for the Coaches Show. So long, everybody.